Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Catherine McEwan Live with me, Richard Russell. Tonight, we're changing the style of things a little bit. You can't see what happens behind the scenes, but there are three amigos behind the scenes all the time at this. And Derek McEwan and John Mancini are the other two amigos with me. So Derek has become on the other side of the screen tonight. He's put away his shyness and he's coming to tell us about Catherine McEwan Foundation, past, present and future. So this is going to be a cracker. Please send your questions in. Anything you want to ask Derek would be very, very welcome. I was thinking today as we were preparing for this session, when we met over a decade ago, Derek came to Yorkhill and we crammed into a wee room with a fire around it because he was freezing. And from there, fantastic things have happened for the foundation moving forward. So Derek, very good evening to you. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's a bit unusual to be on the other side of the camera tonight, but I'm looking forward to the chat and answering any questions that the people out there have got about the foundation.
Brilliant. Well, everybody, please send your questions in to Derek. He's keen to hear from everybody. And I'm going to start off, Derek, just by looking back to the past and just thinking, I was just talking there about when we first met more than 10 years ago in Yorkhill, but the roots of the foundation were before that. So do you want to tell us a bit about where the foundation began and what the inspiration for it was?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people that maybe join us tonight will be aware of the story to a certain extent, especially maybe some people who've heard me share it at maybe the Red Hot Ball or T-Jenny on the two occasions that I've actually shared Catherine's story and my story and the family. As some people may know, Catherine was my mum, who suffered from Crohn's disease since she was 16 years old. So when I was born, when my mum was 21, all my life she had Crohn's disease. It was, she was in and out of hospital. It was life. It was normal. So we didn't really know any different. But to what normal life would be to a parent that was always healthy. Our life was getting in and out of hospital all the time with my mum, and my mum being in and out of hospital for operations or to be built up in any way, shape or form. So, I mean, I think in our younger days, myself and my brother certainly never realised how serious that was. Certainly as we got a bit older, we did. Unfortunately, Catherine passed away. She wasn't very old at all. She was only 37 years of age when she passed away, which is heartbreaking for anyone, to say the least. But 37 years of age is, it's far too young to go, Richard, as I'm sure you'll agree.
Absolutely. And can I take you back to when you were in your childhood? Was Crohn's disease a thing that was talked about? Had you heard of it? Had when you spoke to other people outside of you and your close family, did they know anything about Crohn's disease? Or
absolutely not. Even though we were young and through that journey, nobody knew what it was. It was quite a taboo as well. I don't think my mum was very comfortable talking about it out with her family circle as well. People knew that she was ill. They didn't quite understand it. Don't get me wrong. She had times where she was, like any IBD patient. Many of them go in this, kind of flare-up cycle. But I think, I know that my mum was particularly unlucky with it. It was, you know a little bit about her journey, Richard, and it was very severe. Our weight loss, she could be under 6 stone at times. It was quite horrendous weight loss that she had. But to answer your question, nobody knew what it was, and nobody really spoke about it. That's why I think nowadays, as you see so many online and people empowering people to speak about it, patients and families, it's really becoming it's an educational process, which is fantastic because more people know about it. a lot of the things like the not every disability is visible. That campaign's been very strong in highlighting IBD and other illnesses as well. But it absolutely wasn't really spoken about. Nobody knew what it was. No way.
So I know that, it's a very, heart-wrenching story to hear about your mum, and I'm sure it's very obvious to everybody, where the inspiration comes from for setting up the foundation. But it was a difficult, point to start at, I'm sure, because, most people would raise money when, the disease comes into their family, but, aren't struck by the death of their parent or a loved one. I'm sure for you and Gary and your dad, Gary's your brother for people who don't know, that had a big impact on you. How did it affect you? How did it impact on your mental health and your well-being? I'm sure it was a very difficult time.
Yeah, I think one of the things to think about, I think, was when all your life, my mum passed away when I was 16. Gary was 21, and when all your life your mum's been in and out of hospital. She goes in maybe a few days, a few weeks at a time, depending on what it was, whether it was an operation, whether it was to build her up because her weight loss was so severe. Multitude of different reasons why she was in that hospital, as I'm sure a lot of the guys watching who have been on that IBD journey can associate with. You never ever think for 1 minute that they're not coming back. We knew that over that period in January when she went into hospital, my mum never liked to complain. She never liked to bother anybody. The night that she went into hospital, I had come in from being at friends in the evening, come in maybe nine at night or something like that, and she was standing in the kitchen worktop, washing up in the pulley. We still had one. We're quite old now. We still had pulleys in the kitchen then. And she was bent over in agony, and I'm saying to her, look, I think we should call an ambulance. No, I'm not doing it. It's just a flare up, or I'll be fine. And then I'd went to bed because I'd seen this so many times before, but this one seemed a little bit different. And my dad came to see us when he'd come in from work, and he basically said that that there was an ambulance there to take my mum to hospital. So, but this was almost normal for us because she was always in and out. So I think maybe a 3-week period or something like that, she'd deteriorated. But again, I mean, you're always used to them coming out, and things didn't go quite according to plan. There was a perforation in the bowel, and because it was so thin, because it had so many operations, I think that's the reason behind that. You'll be able to correct me if I'm wrong, Richard. And that infection for someone that was so tiny, her weight, was just too much for her. And one night in the early morning, my dad had the most horrendous task of waking me up. My brother was in Victoria's, actually. He was at the dancing. And my dad did the most horrendous job of waking me up to tell me that we had to go to the hospital because my mum had passed away. So I think shock. I think I went into kind of, I don't know, the first thing I thought of was we need to go and get Gary. And we went to get Gary, dragged him out the dancing, actually. So it was a real hard thing to deal with. I think you're in shock for years, maybe, to be honest with you. You ask about mental health, again, a subject that at that time was never really, it was a bit taboo. It wasn't something that was spoken about, especially for young guys like us. And for years, I never even knew I was depressed. I didn't know what depression was. I never knew that I was overcome with grief. I never knew. I was just going about life. the way I knew, and you know, I can speak about it openly now. But I would be getting lost in the weekend. You know, I would go out on the Friday and come back on the Monday, and you know, I was just hiding away. But I never even realised what I was doing, because I never had. Again, today I would recognise that in someone, and people would have recognised that in me in this modern age of being a lot more open with mental health, and they would have said, look, you need help. And thankfully, I did get that, and it took someone to take me aside and say, look, you know, it was a guy called Justin Smith, and he actually bought me my first counselling session, and it changed my life. It was probably the best gift that anybody's ever gave me, probably.
And I think, you know, it's worth reflecting back that, you know, if these things happen now, we would think a lot differently about them. You know, Crohn's disease has changed so much, mental health has changed so much, but still, it wasn't actually that long a time ago. But it seems like almost, you know, a different world that you're talking about. So I think, you know, the openness you've had about, you know, Crohn's disease and mental health and everything is part of the inspiration for the foundation, and lots of people, just by you know, telling and sharing your story, feel empowered because they'll see, you know, parallels with them. Important to tell the guys, you know, Crohn's disease is just a little bit different now. How long after you were 16 did you think about starting up the foundation, and how did you go about it in the early days?
Well, it didn't happen overnight, put it that way. It was about you know, my mum passed away in '92. The idea for the fundraising start was 10 years later. So it shows you the length of time that, don't get me wrong, my life wasn't terrible or anything like that, but I was running away from a real darkness in myself that I actually never realised I was doing. You know, I would go from job to job. I went to college. I went travelling. You know, I was lucky enough to save up money and go travelling the world, which was one of the greatest experiences of my life. But in essence, I was still running away. And when I came back, when I went to the counselling to begin with, it was a relief. It was really unusual. It was strange because I knew the answers. It was really a really weird thing. You know, you're sitting with this stranger and they're kind of pulling this conversation out of you that almost in the back of your mind that I already knew the answers to it, which was quite a bizarre thing even to say out loud now. And through those sessions, that negative energy and the negativity that I was bringing into my own life, and don't get me wrong, absolutely others around me and my family members, I must have absolute torture to bear on. I probably still am for many to this day, but for different reasons. But it must have been really challenging for others around me as well. And that negativity was, I thought to myself, you know, I'm going to fundraise. I'm going to do something positive to help people in the same situation that my mum was in. And that happened, and that idea came in December 2002. Because I got the idea because I was listening to Cash for Kids on the radio. I heard the Cash for Kids on the radio, and had a piece of football memorabilia that I was going to donate to that. And then I thought, well, why donate it to that? Let's do an event for Crohn's disease. And I spoke to Crohn's, which is now Crohn's and Colitis UK, but then back then, all those years ago, it was the National Association for Colitis and Crohn's, I believe it was called.
NAC,
the very one.
Yeah,
the very one. But they were very, very helpful, to say the least, in getting me off the ground, and super supportive.
So what happened from there then? You started auctioning off a Rangers football that nobody wanted, and then built things up from there. What happened next?
Probably not far off of that, to be honest with you. Admittedly, I only meant to do it once. I meant to put one event on, and I think at the time I was ticking a mental box that, you know, I've done that, I'm moving on to something else. But what happened was people came back to me and said, that was a brilliant night. When are you doing another one? And I thought, all right, okay, people enjoyed that. So we put another one on the next year. I think at that time, maybe did my first half marathon to raise money for Crohn's and Colitis UK at the time. And I think me and a friend did a parachute jump as well. And then I thought to myself, I'm quite enjoying it. It was bringing a lot of positivity into my life. I could see that, through raising that money, it was at the time we were going to Crohn's and Colitis UK solely. And they were ever so grateful of the support. And I spoke to Richard Driscoll, who was their chief executive at the time, unfortunately now no longer with us. An absolute lovely man, a real gentleman, who you knew yourself, Richard. And he helped me. He helped us for the next couple of years, try to channel the money into the funds we were raising into Glasgow, because at that point I knew that I was in it for the long haul, and and we were going to do fundraising every year. But the key for me was to try and initially to help hospitals where my mum had spent time, because maybe the care wasn't quite as good as it could be, and we would try to make a difference to help more people. Because my mum's journey was horrendous, ultimately fatal, and I just was really wanting to, if we helped one person in a positive way, then we'd done our job, and that really was how we wanted it to go from the outset. And then we were introduced to yourself at York Hill and the amazing team over there, which really was a magnificent catalyst for the work and where we are now.
Well, I was always glad from the day I met you. You said to me, if I raise money, will you spend it? And I said, you raise as much as you want and we'll spend it all. So it was
kept your side of the bargain.
Oh, I did. So I'd like to just bring in a few questions at the right time. So everybody who's asking questions, really good. I think one of the important things for the foundation has been education, obviously. And Emma Holness Jeffries has asked an education point. So she says, hi, I'm quite new to this, but I've had a long battle with bowel problems. Nothing yet to be diagnosed. Any help? I'm at my wit's end. So what has the foundation done in terms of education? And when you get messages like this from Emma, who's asked a great question, where do you point them to, or what's there to help?
I think one of the things that as a growing charity, even though this is us getting into our 19th year, we're really, as a fundraising group into our 19th year, registered charity, only just past 2 years. And I think we really need to be realistic about our resource and where our expertise lies. Over the years, we've funded a number of educational projects as partners with Crohn's and Colitis UK, who've, realistically, they've got the best information out there. We've helped support their magnificent helplines as well, because they're a fantastic resource for support for people and information. If anybody ever contacts us, they'll always get a personal phone call from myself to see how we can help them. Now, being honest with you, sometimes someone just needs somebody to talk to that understands their journey and where they're at. Sometimes they need a little bit more help. Of course, if that's on the medical side, then we would have to step away or point them in the right direction, sometimes towards yourself or someone or another clinician. But very often, we need to point them in the right direction for that expertise. What's been great over the past year are these Q&A sessions where we've had some fantastic experts in multiple fields. So quite often we're directing people to the Q&A sessions when they're asking certain things, maybe about diet, mental health being one of them as well. We had a fantastic session on that. And the big thing on our last one was vaccination.
So I think in terms of helping Emma, it really depends on what your problems are. We don't expect you to share them publicly on Facebook, but Derek might just message you afterwards to see, if we can be of specific help or try and signpost you in the right to the right place. But we hope you get help soon, and we hope you feel better soon. So,
what I would say is, if anybody wants to do that, is just to PM the page, and we'll get it. We'll point in the right direction right away.
So, where's the foundation up to at the moment then, Derek? Tell us what the foundation consists of now. So you came from small roots, you did lots of charitable events, but you weren't officially a charity. So are you now officially a charity, and what do you have to do that? What happened? What made you decide to be a charity?
Yeah, we're absolutely a charity now, which is very, very exciting for us. We have been for the past couple of years. I think over a number of years there was I think a couple of people had said to us, you should go as a registered charity. But the thing was, I was working for myself, I had my own business interests, and I did the fundraising element very much as a passion, very much as I wouldn't, it was far too serious to be a hobby, but it was my passion in my life, and I had my business life as well. And it really became another business that was, it was a very, very, very serious business. So I kind of, being honest, I stayed away from that for a number of years. But the reality was that the foundation was becoming so successful in our fundraising and our partnerships and projects that many people thought we were a registered charity, and we were treated as such, but we couldn't take advantage of a lot of opportunities that were coming our way because we weren't registered. And that really it really conflicted myself, because I felt as if I wasn't doing my job for the foundation to its full capabilities, and that was a real conflict, because business was okay, but it wasn't my passion in my life. So I really had to make a decision. What I was going to do was I going to kind of almost step back off one of them. But the decision was made probably 2017 to go full time with the foundation and grow it, and really we'd a brilliant platform for what we'd achieved in the years before, to really grow an organisation and make an impact to many people that suffer from IBD. So there was a bit of process to go through that. You have to jump through lots of different hoops for your application, and it takes a bit of time. Then you have to think about what, it's great being fundraisers, but what do you actually stand for as an organisation? What's your direction, and where are you going? And so there's a bit of a, I think every organisation has to be in a transition to a certain extent. But the last couple of years have really been finding our feet in the charity world as a registered organisation. But it's been great.
Brilliant.
It's been a great journey, and it will continue to be so.
So I think we're getting a few questions, lots of nice messages of support to you from lots of different people, Derek. Just thanking you for all the work that the foundation does. Sharon Douglas has asked us about what we can do, what we can do to support the foundation now it's a charity. So if people want to give support to the charity, how do they do that?
Well, there's lots of different ways to help us. I would suggest that first of all, get in touch to see what you would like to do and what you can do. The easiest way is to support our events. We've got our annual Red Hot Ball, which would be on Saturday. This coming Saturday normally, we can't go ahead because of COVID, obviously. But we've got an absolutely unbelievable virtual event happening on the 27th of March. Tickets go on sale straight after the Q&A tonight. So I mean, the lineup for that's great. I think in the first instance, buy a ticket for that. enjoy yourself, because you're not going anywhere on a Saturday night at the moment, unfortunately. And you can support us in many ways through that, first and foremost.
Okay, and if people want to give regularly to the charity, is there any other ways rather than kind of one-off events, or?
Yeah, absolutely. We've set up a regular giving on the website where people can donate as little as £5 per month. That will put to the multitude of projects that we're currently involved in. Of course, they can donate more than that on a regular basis, but they can absolutely do that as well. They can, there's a number of people that do virtual runs and stuff like that for us at the moment. Later on in the year, hopefully, we'll have our drive-in movies and things like that back. So what I would say is, come support the events, bring your family. Most of them are family affairs. And the thing is that what we've always been about as an organisation is fun. Come. It's really about enjoying yourself. We make fundraising. I'd like to think we make fundraising easy because our events are, they are good fun.
So on that theme, Alexandra Clark has asked, thanks for your question. Hello, can you tell me if you'd be open for social events after COVID is not an issue? Where's the foundation based? I suffer from Crohn's disease since I was 17. I'm 23, been through surgery and medication, still going through scans. Great to see all of this. So, social events after the pandemic?
Can't wait. So absolutely there'll be social events. If you look at social events in a couple of different areas, one of the big things that we've done over the years is our family days that have been very, very successful in bringing people together, bringing community together and building support networks as well as information. We hope to have them back as quickly as possible. We'll be focusing on some different areas with them as well. So we'll absolutely be having them from a social perspective. There was a couple of things that we set up that we were looking to set up pre-COVID, which was we were looking to set up music groups as well as sport groups where maybe people that have got the illness, Crohn's or colitis, they can we were setting up things with Rangers Football Club, Celtic Football Club, and speaking to another few as well, as well as getting the music group together. So there's social elements from that side. The fundraising elements have been very social with us, so we hope to have our ladies' lunch back, maybe later this year, who knows, if not certainly next year. Red Hot Ball will be back, our stand-up comedy days, and of course our drive-in events, to name but a few. So there'll be lots of things to get involved in.
Brilliant. Gary Conway has mentioned, thanks Gary, hopefully we'll be doing It's a Knockout again when it's possible to raise funds for the foundation. Any plans for that, or?
Well, it's funny that Gary mentioned that. Gary's actually won it once. I think one of the first years when his team were branded one of the biggest cheaters in the competition ever. But anyway, I'm only kidding, Gary. Gary's been a big supporter of us for many years. We had planned a big event in Glasgow Green pre-COVID. We generally have about 15 teams at It's a Knockout, and we'd planned and grown it to about 50. So a real big event with a real family feel to it that also had other activities for the kids, and doing a kind of street food market and stuff like that with our friends at Big Feed. So that's absolutely there. We've got the template for it, and we're hoping to. It won't happen this year, but we're hoping to have it next year. We're hoping that maybe Gary Conway and his team will get the wooden spoon.
Lucy Proctor, who I know is a regular at these events. Lucy, thanks for your kind comments. And she's talking about the Kilt Walk in August, Derek. Is that going on behalf of the foundation, or how can people do that?
I think we're going to Kilt Walk are doing a virtual walk in April. They did it last year. The Kilt Walk is something as an event that the foundation really wants to grow into. and get as many people doing it as possible. The reason being, it's a fantastic event. I mean, the guys that are behind the Kilt Walk over the years have really turned that event around, and it's great fun. It's a family event. You know, there's a small distance, a medium distance, and a longer distance for the braver amongst us. And the fantastic thing is, Sir Tom Hunter adds 50% on to every bit of fundraising you get. So raise £100, you get 150. It's a no-brainer for a charity. So we're going to be hopefully getting people involved in the virtual one, and if they are able to have the Kilt Walk as it historically has been, I mean, we would absolutely be behind that totally.
Brilliant.
And we've actually had a tartan done especially for the Kilt Walk. So you can there is a Catherine McEwan Foundation tartan being released especially for the Kilt Walk.
Well, I would love that. Can I get some, please? How'd you get it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You'll be the first.
Okay. Ella Wilkes is just saying, thanks for your comment. A marathon could be on the cards next year, and she's got a great idea who she's going to fundraise for. So I think you've inspired her, Derek, with everything. I think we've obviously talked a lot about the fun and the fundraising that goes on, but what about the projects? What have been the projects you've been proudest of that all the blood, sweat and tears of the fundraising has gone into?
I think over the years, as you go on the journey, I think initially when we were first fundraising for the first few years, all the funds that we raised went into Crohn's and Colitis UK, which was a charity, actually was a trustee on the board for a number of years also. And I'm very, very proud of that association. I'm very proud of what the foundation relationship has been with them over the years. We were actually, my mum was actually, there's actually a room at the Crohn's and Colitis UK headquarters named after my mum, in honour of the work that the foundation's done, which was a massive thing for us. And it's something that we're very, very thankful of, but deeply honoured, because Crohn's and Colitis UK are such a fantastic organisation. They make a difference to so many in the country. So I think looking back, our early projects with them have certainly been something to be proud of. As I mentioned earlier on, we've supported their call centres. We've supported a few research projects with them as well. I mean, those are the early ones. Moving into our when we were introduced to yourself, Richard, and the team at what was then York Hill, and now the Royal Hospital of Children. That relationship has had many projects that we're very proud of. I think the biggest one that we're certainly seeing even now, that we started back, maybe I might get my time wrong here, maybe about 7 years ago, was the CD Treat project, the Crohn's diet. Our involvement in that from the very, very early days is something that we're very proud of, and to see that develop over the years has been brilliant to watch. And the fact it's in clinical trials now and proven to show some real success and great signs for growth is, I mean, it's brilliant for us to be involved in that. I think at the moment the one that really works for me, I think it's a great project, is the Catherine McEwan Foundation Scholarship Programme. We started that last year and piloted it with Joe and Amelia as our first scholars, and it proved a massive success. I think part of the journey from the transition from fundraising group to registered charity, one of the things that threw up, because I went out and spoke to lots of parents, lots of patients, kids, and the thing that came back from a number of kids, the only kids now that maybe just left school or whatever, that were IBD patients, was that they could have, a lot of them says, I could have done better. I missed so much school. And this was a theme that I heard so many times. And I was lucky enough that a good friend of mine, Graham Ruff, ran an organisation called Saturday School. and I spoke to him about, I said, look, these kids have got great potential. Through no fault of their own, they're missing lots of school. A lot of the schools aren't set up to support them for a multitude of different reasons. Is there any way that we can put something in place to support them, to get them their academic, to help get them their academic results, so that will give them a platform for the future in their lives? So we set, through working with myself, Graham, and the IBD team at the Royal Hospital for Children, we set up the Catherine McEwan Foundation Scholarship. Last year, when we piloted it, Amelia and Joe were fantastic students, great results through it. We've currently, for this year, we've got 6 students on that now who are by all accounts doing very well, even in COVID, where because of the lockdown, they obviously can't get into the school. But what we're doing is they're doing Zoom lessons. I think they go back in a couple of weeks, but so that's a project that I'm massively proud of, because it's a foundation project, and it's unique, but it can support these kids for life, through academic results for some aren't the be all and end all, but if you've got good academic results, it's a fantastic platform. It can really set you up for life. Yeah. So that can only grow, and I think our support for the clinical service has been very good as well. We've been supporting new positions within the IBD team, IBD nurses, dietitians, and so on. These have got a direct impact on the people that we're trying to help. There's no doubt about it. We're helping improve the service and improving the care for our patients, and it's super exciting, and we want to continue to do that.
So I think, speaking slightly from the other side, Derek, I think, for people who are maybe new to this or didn't know some of this, I think what the foundation's been particularly good at is taking a chance on things and doing things for the first time. So 7 years ago, when we were looking for funding for CD Treat, everybody thought we were mad. And every charity we went to said, yeah, sounds like a good idea, but it's too much of a risk. Don't think it's going to work. We're certainly not. So you had the confidence in us, because of our working relationship, to build that first stage of the charity funding. And from that, literally, and I'm not joking, millions of pounds have followed. But without that initial money, we wouldn't have got anywhere, because you need that first, early stage work to show that, we weren't mad and there was some basis behind us to then give the evidence to share it out, and then look for further funding from there. So although people might think, well, when I'm raising money for Catherine McEwan, what difference will it make? Can it really raise that much? Actually, it can have a massive impact. And I think you've shown with that, and with the scholarship and other things, that actually, there's a way forward. And I think the biggest credit to you is everybody else nicks your ideas. So, you've led on the question and answer sessions. Other people have done that, and other people, I'm sure, will copy the scholarship, because it's such a great idea. It seems obvious now that it's happening, but nobody thought of it before. So I want to just ask about one of the other things that we haven't touched on, Derek, which is the parents group. And Sharon Douglas she's asked loads of questions tonight. Great, Sharon. But she's asked about the parents group and how that works. That's one of the newer projects, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we want to grow our groups, and the parent group is initially, we wanted to do it in person, but COVID's kind of forced our hand, so that's online at the moment, on a Facebook group that anybody can apply to join, and there's it's not a large group, but I tell you what, it's super supportive. The questions that are in there, and the parents helping each other, whether it's a newly diagnosed kid, whether it's new medications, whether it's a certain experience that whether the parents is going through, or one of their children, and it's to see that grow and to see it in action is very, it's great to see. It's rewarding to see that we're building that community of support. Because I tell you what, one of the big things, and you'll know this, Richard, is the isolation that not only the patient can feel, but the parents can feel, because they maybe not know anybody to turn to or that's going through a similar experience. Whereas they can have that now, even though it's only online. But we hope to bring these guys together in our family days in the future. But I think that online network will always be there and always grow, because and we'll always do the Q&As as well, because it's a direct channel into getting expert advice. So we would welcome Sharon if she's not already.
Yeah, we do miss the family days, though. I mean, I think looking back, they've been some of the most enjoyable part of the foundation that I've taken part in. What's your memories of those?
I think when the first one was, because they've been great fun, but most have all been really, really informative, and the kids and the parents, and we've opened it up to all age groups a couple of times as well. I think what people get from them has been invaluable. Again, going back to when I was speaking to patients and families when we were coming out of the fundraising group and getting into the registered charity status. One of the big things that I was keen on, like, yes, we've got ideas, and working as a team with you guys is fantastic, and I would like to think we're quite innovative. But there's nobody can tell us what direction to go in better than a patient, better than a parent. What do they actually need? Because we want these guys to really mould the direction of our charity. We want them to mould the direction of the Catherine McEwan Foundation, to deliver what they need in their lives. The kids came back and told us they could have done better at school. So we're going to put, right, okay, so how do we kind of fill that gap to support them going through school? We'll support them with a scholarship programme that will get them their achievements. But I tell you, the one thing that came back, and almost 100% of the people that we spoke to that had been to our family days said the best thing that we'd ever done for them directly was the family days. Every single person. So I cannot wait to get them back. Get a fantastic programme in place again, and get them back regularly, because they are absolutely invaluable to our patients.
Does that mean the Q&As are going? If the family days are coming, are you going to do them both?
Well, I think we should do them both. The Q&As would probably be less frequent. I know that John Mancini loves doing them as well, so he's been a big part of the Q&As. But I think we need that direct channel. It's been really challenging over the lockdown period for the health service and for the teams. It's been a real challenging time from their point of view, but it's been a real challenge for our patients and families to be able to speak to them sometimes. And this has given a really good channel to get the right information that they need, because it's been a worrying time, no doubt about it.
I think there's been lots of misinformation, I think, to a degree that we've never seen before. And I think, the Q&As hopefully have acted as a place where people can, ask honest questions and expect honest answers. So that's been great. I'd like to say thanks to everybody who's given support to Derek. I'm not a DJ, so I can't do a big roll down list of everybody, but all of your support is very welcome to him. I think also for the parents who are saying their children have taken part in research or they're part of the scholarships, that's all absolutely fantastic and really what we want to hear. So somebody's halfway through CD Treat at the moment. CD Treat is going to finish. Well, it has finished. You can't join it anymore, but it's not finished with the people who are already in the trial. So I think a great, heads up to all of the work that you're doing. And I think the way that you talked about, the projects are inspired by the patients and the parents. It's really brilliant. What about the board of the charity now, Derek? So when you founded the charity, it had to have a board. So what's the purpose of the board? Should the the board be known to everybody, or?
The board should absolutely be known to everybody. I think I'm very lucky in the fact that it's not kicking off a charity is not an easy thing to do. It's certainly you need a board that believes in what you do first and foremost, because it's their heads that's on the block if things don't go right. Believe it or not, it's not mine. the way that the charity works. So I was very lucky. One of the people who's been massively supportive to me over the years was actually my old headmaster, Ian Montague, who's involved in the charity, who's very much involved in charities for probably about 50 years in the third sector. And he was always saying to me, you need to go registered. And I will get not now. And so he was a real sounding board and really supportive of that initially. Joanne McFadden's been brilliant, who's a very good friend of mine, to say the least. But she's been an integral part of our fundraising events. Some might say she's the boss of the fundraising events, like the Red Hot Ball. She's really helps organise, and she's fantastic. So she was a natural choice to go on that. And then we started off with Barry Cook as well, who's a lot of people maybe know as wee Jenny Cook, our young ambassador, who's Jenny's dad. So to get those guys believing in what I wanted to do and move forward, and being honest, take a punt. Yeah, they've been involved and they know about us as a fundraising group, but when you take that big step up to the big boys field, almost, it's a serious thing for somebody to make that commitment towards you. And they're good at challenging me, and asking difficult questions of me, and to make sure that we're going in the right direction, which thankfully so far so good. We've added 3 fantastic additions to the board recently. One of them being yourself, Richard. From a medical point of view, that's fantastic. We've got Gillian Miller joined the board, who's an accountant, who's going to, from a financial side of things, and Andy Purden, who's a fantastic businessman, great supporter of the foundation for many, many years, and he's in the HR industry. So we've got a great basis there for growing the organisation, great stability, a skill set that's very good to take us forward as an organisation.
Brilliant. A couple of quick questions now. Lisa Gallagher Hamilton, thanks Lisa. Is the parent group a closed group or through the foundation Facebook page? Practical question. How'd you get into it?
It's through you can join it through the foundation Facebook page. Lisa, I believe I have sent you a request to join it before, but you've maybe not picked that up, so I can send you that after this. No problem at all.
Laura Martin, thanks very much. Laura has been a CC UK volunteer for over 5 years and is keen to help, particularly in Edinburgh, I think. So is the foundation spreading its wings from Glasgow, or can people in other parts of the country get involved?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Laura, for that. And well done in your volunteering for CC UK. I hope that's going well. I've no doubt it will be. I mean, obviously being in the west of Scotland based, we're more effective over here at the moment, but we're evolving, and we're planning doing more stuff over in the East Coast and further up north as well. So absolutely, as we come out of COVID, there'll be much more to do, and we've already got events planned, hopefully later on in the year, in the Edinburgh area. So
and I think the foundation very kindly sponsored a fellow in the Edinburgh's Children's Hospital over the past year or so too. So Joe Meredith has been supported from the foundation. So you're growing across the country. So where are we going next, Eric? So you've given us what happened before. You've run through all of the fantastic fundraising and projects that have been going on. But what does the future hold for the foundation?
Yeah, well, I think it's been. I think for everybody, it's been a bit of an unusual year. The past 12 months or so. We were excited to begin into our second year as a registered charity with ambitious hopes and events, and like many other organisations, and we were lucky enough to get the Red Hot Ball in last year, and then a couple of weeks later, the world changed and we were shut down, and it's been a bit of a roller coaster ever since. I think one of the positives the foundation can say is that we've been quite nimble on our feet. We're not a big organisation that with a lot of challenges that they have. So we've been able to diversify quite quickly with our fundraising strategy, with our support strategy as well. The one being the Q&As. One of the other things that were that came out very, very early in the lockdown was that our patients were telling us that there was a massive anxiety around COVID to begin with, for obvious reasons. Not just for IBD patients and families. But what happened with COVID was all the public toilets closed, and it was creating a massive anxiety for our patients going out and about in their daily life, where they'd maybe plan or know where they could use certain facilities. So one of the things that came out was they would love an app that identified toilet facilities. So we've been developing that over the past kind of 6 or 7 months. We've just got a test version of that last week that we're kind of having a little bit of mess about with. So hopefully within the next 2 months, we'll be launching that toilet app that people can use across the UK. I think there's something like 14 or 15,000 facilities in there that they'll be able to see. So that's been a project that we've been working on in the background that we're launching soon. The development of the scholarship programme, we want to grow that. We're looking forward to the continued success of that. I know it's only in its second year, but it's so exciting to see these kids applying themselves week on week. It's brilliant. Speaking to Graham at Saturday School, who run the scholarship programme on our behalf, it's our guys that are turning up for the Zoom sessions. They're really committed to it, and it's that drive through that adversity that's really inspiring for me and for our team to continue. One of the other things that we're doing just now, we're stumbling it over the line. We're almost close to it. We're just about to fund a new position at the Royal Hospital for Children, which is quite innovative, and it'll really. I can't go too much into it in public at the moment, but it's very innovative. You know a little bit about it, Richard, of course. And when that comes, it will really, really improve the level of care for our patients. Essentially, that's what we want, and for everybody, to improve the care, improve their lives, and and be there to support when need be.
Fantastic. So it sounds like a bright future ahead for the foundation, and lots of projects for people to raise money for and support the foundation through. As an aside, our technical host on all of these events, John Mancini, the silent man, good time to say thank you to him for all the support he gives us. Nobody ever sees him, but he's behind all the smooth running events that we do. He's asked you a question, Derek, and asked you what's the favourite marathon you've done for charity?
It's got to be the first one, John. It's got to be New York when I did it with you. I think the one that I had to carry you over the line. I did my first ever marathon with John, and it was John's idea. And I said to him, oh, I'd love to do that with you, but let's do it to raise money for Crohn's and colitis, which he thankfully did, and it did really well. And I think that kind of kicked off the more challenges, if we will, when we did Arts to Arc. 3 peaks.
What do you think the toughest challenge you've done is, Derek? Some people, who are newer to the foundation might not know some of the, braver challenges that you've done. Would it be the 3 peaks or Arch to Arc, or what do you think?
I think they're all challenging in their own way. I mean, we did the marathons. I don't care. I mean, anybody knows me. I'm not built for running. Neither's John, to be fair. But so they're a massive. Anybody who's running 26 miles, that is a massive challenge. When we got a bit braver, we did Trafalgar Square to George Square the 1 year, which was we did that in, I think, 72 hours as a relay. So that was quite an experience. Arts to Arc was with myself and Barry Cook, helped with a brilliant logistics team and support team, and of course our friends at Dover Rowing Club was. I think when you look at it, because you have to run from London to Dover, and it's like 88 miles, so it's like you're running a marathon a day for 3 days. Then you have to row the English Channel, and then you cycle from Calais to Paris. And so the running bit you can kind of get there if you get enough training, as is the cycling. But we had to learn how to row, and so we learned to row in the Clyde, and then the great people at Dover Rowing Club, who just fantastic people, took us under their wing, and we had to learn to row in the sea, which wasn't without incident. So that was really challenging. 3 peaks in 24 hours was no bad, but the 3 peaks cycle a couple of years ago was brutal because the weather was just so unkind to us. In fact, the best part of 500 miles plus doing the mountains, I think 74 hours or something like that we done it in, myself, Ross, and Ross Park and Lorna Carson. And the great thing about that was as well, Lorna suffers from Crohn's disease, and she did the challenge with us as well. So I mean that was quite special, the fact that we Lorna's battling Crohn's as well.
Brilliant.
Well, I don't know. I think I know what's next, but
yeah, I can think of a few things, but I won't mention it in public. So I think we're coming to the end of things. Just a couple of practical questions. So Lucy Proctor wants hoodies. When are they on sale?
We're just waiting. We've had a wee bit of challenge and a delay with the printer, but I seen them last week, so we should have them within the next week or so. Okay, and the tartan? The tartan will be a wee bit longer because we need to go into I need to actually physically go into the guys that are providing the tartan, and they're closed just now. But the tartan is designed. And how do people get tickets for the virtual Red Hot Ball on the 27th of March? Virtual Red Hot Ball will have the link on the Facebook page within the hour. And everybody's already seen it. It's a fantastic lineup, to say the least. Brilliant. Texas, Amy McDonald, Tom Walker, Gunn, Gary Little. Oh, the list's endless. It's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Well, Derek, it's been lovely spending an hour with you, looking back and now looking forward. And I think there's been so many people, I can't mention them all. Even George Bowie wouldn't have managed to get all these mentions into his show. So there have been so many people who have taken such positive inspiration from what you've said tonight and from all the work that the foundation does. So on behalf of all of them, because I can't say all their names, I'd like to say thank you very much. And keep up the good work. Thanks. I would like, can I just say that the foundation is nothing without the guys that support us, and from the bottom of my heart and everybody involved with the foundation, thank you. It's been especially kind of heartwarming over the past year when the charity sector's gone through such a tough time, and you know, our guys have dug deep and got involved in lots of different initiatives. You know, whether they've bought Michael Kilkie's fantastic cookbook, or you know, they've ran for us, or you know, they bought an auction item at our sports memorabilia auction. Whatever they've done, they've really got behind us over this past year, as they've always done. And you know, I can't thank them enough, because it's really given us the foundation to really push on when we came out of COVID and really hit the ground running as well. So as always, thank you. I mean, I set the foundation up in memory of my mum. I think she would be absolutely blown away by the support that it's received. She would be, in true Catherine style, she would be pretty embarrassed by it, because that's the type of person she was. But you know, it means the world. You know, I'm just a wee boy who lost his mammy, and it just landed right by setting this up. So I can't thank everybody enough for their support. It really means the world.
Well, I think that's the best note to end on. I think we're finishing where we actually started. So brilliant. Thank you very much, Derek. And thank you, everybody, for all your questions and all your support. Like the page, share the page, and support the foundation. Have a good evening.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. Thank you.